Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for March 13th, 2025. Call to order. Roll call.
Williams,
Here.
Troop,
Here.
Coleman,
Here.
Asia, Wallace, Rinky,
Here.
Blood.
Here.
Okay, presentation and approval of minutes, February 27th. Has everyone had time to read them?
I move that we approve the minutes as provided.
I'll second.
Okay, public forum.
There's a motion, second.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have a public forum in the script now, or?
The public forum is just in case anybody from the public here wants to speak. I don't think there's anybody that's here just to speak from the public. If you're here for the item, the agenda item, that's different.
I'm here to speak as the agent for the
Okay, so that'll be during the second. So no, there's no one here.
Okay, and this. Okay, to protect the rights of all parties involved and in order to create an opportunity for everyone to speak their opinions and present information, the Haysville Planning Commission follows a specific procedure in reaching a decision. A copy of this is available by the door. Your attention to this procedure is appreciated.
So just, Debbie, so you stated for the record, we're on the new business, the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
yes.
okay.
Changing from light commercial to heavy commercial at 131 West Grand Avenue.
Thank you.
And I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
I so move.
And I'll second.
Motion.
We have a motion and second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are now formally open for public hearing to consider the zone change request for the city of Haysville. Do any members of the Planning Commission have a conflict of interest in this case?
No.
Okay, if so, disqualify yourself from further action on this case. You may choose to speak as a member of the public. Have any members received any written or electronic communications on this matter? If so, please read or describe them.
No.
Okay. Will staff please present the staff report for the proposed zone change request?
So the applicant is requesting a zone change from light commercial to heavy commercial at Lot 1, Block A, Fox Addition to Haysville, which is generally known as 131 West Grand Avenue. This request is to use the property to relocate his existing masonry business and to store refuse containers for lease. And the applicant acquired the property through a lease to buy agreement dated January 10th, 2025. The current zoning, light commercial, allows for a limited number of civic and commercial uses aimed to serve the needs of those living in nearby neighborhoods, while heavy commercial, the requested zoning, allows for uses such as limited manufacturing, animal care, welding, construction, sales and service, and wholesale business services. The table below compares the development standards for the Code of the City of Haysville for each zoning district, which are relatively the same except for the rear setback, which is 20 feet in heavy commercial versus 10 in light commercial, the side setback, which is 10 in heavy and 6 in light, and the maximum height, which is 55 in heavy commercial and 45 in light commercial. The character of the neighborhood is a mixture of commercial, civic, and residential uses. Properties to the west are zoned single-family residential and light commercial and developed with single-family homes and a medical office, while properties to the south, east, and north are all zoned light commercial and developed with a smoke shop, city hall, police station, financial institution, and a storage warehouse. The lot immediately to the east is vacant and undeveloped and zoned light commercial. So if the application for this zone change is approved, the subject site will have to adhere to all screening, landscape, and parking regulations. To store the refuse containers for lease outdoors at the subject property, the area for outdoor storage must be screened and shall not be visible from any adjacent non-elevated street nor from ground level view in any adjacent lot. The area for outdoor storage must be maintained as a hard or all-weather surface, and all materials stored in the outdoor storage area must be arranged to permit reasonable inspection by fire, police, and city authorities. Rock, decorative pavers and statues, and any live plant materials if in the outdoor storage area will not need an all-weather surface, but must be kept in an orderly manner. And additionally, all business activities must occur within fully enclosed structures or within solidly screened areas. And our solid screening is defined as a solid barrier of 90 to 100% opacity, made from wood, vinyl, landscaped earth berms, masonry, or other similar materials, including brick, stone, architectural tile, or a combination of those materials. Appropriate materials do not include mesh privacy screens. The applicant will have to adhere to the setbacks of the heavy commercial district if they are considering expanding the existing building or adding any accessory structures, regardless of the platted setbacks. If you look at the diagram to the left on this page, that shows the buildable area with the heavy commercial district regulations. The parking and landscaping regulations will require the applicant to submit a parking lot site plan and a landscape plan detailing all required off-street parking spaces, required landscape street yard screening, and size and type of plantings, if applicable. Additionally, off-street parking at the subject site will be required to be screened from view of all residential properties within 100 feet of the subject property, except at points of vehicle or pedestrian ingress or egress. And that screening must be a minimum height of 3 feet above the parking surface, and it must extend at least 100 feet on property lines that are not within 100 feet of residential properties. The subject site was platted as the Fox Addition to Haysville in October 1993, and there have not been any known zoning cases since. It will have access to West Grand Avenue, or it does have access to West Grand Avenue and South Trout Avenue, and it has access to municipal services, including water and sewer. The zone change does not conform with the City of Haysville's comprehensive plan, though, including the 2023 land use plan map. The map shows the subject site as appropriate for commercial uses, which we have defined as commercial, retail, restaurant, and professional offices that serve the needs of the community as a whole and perhaps a larger region. The proposed use of the subject property, a masonry business, is also defined as construction, sales, and service, would be a much better use in the commercial mixed land use, which includes outdoor storage and the use, because it may include outdoor storage and the use of heavy machinery. Our commercial mixed use we have defined as suitable for higher intensity commercial land uses and may include lighter industrial uses such as warehousing and assembly. So based on all of the information we've been able to gather before this public hearing, staff is recommending denial of the request to change to heavy commercial zoning, and that is based on the following findings. The first being the zoning use and character of the neighborhood. As we've discussed before, the properties adjacent to the subject site are zoned light commercial and single family, and were all developed pre-2000s, and all properties are in good to fair condition. Our second consideration was suitability of the subject site for the uses to which it has been restricted. The subject site is currently zoned light commercial and is suitable for a limited number of commercial and civic uses. Such uses are appropriate given the context of the surrounding property. Number 3 is the extent to which removal of the restrictions will detrimentally affect nearby properties. The uses permitted in the requested heavy commercial district do not overlap well with the current zoning district of light commercial. I've included a list of permitted uses or conditional uses in the heavy commercial district that are not allowed in the light commercial district, and I can read those aloud if you guys would like later. But additionally, the maximum height allowed in the heavy commercial district exceeds that of the surrounding district by at least 10 feet. Many of the surrounding buildings have not been built to their maximum limit in their zoning district. The setback requirements for the heavy commercial district would also make these existing building on the subject site legal non-conforming. If you refer back to the diagram, you'll see the buildable area, and the existing building is outside of that buildable area. Our fourth consideration is length of time subject property has remained vacant as zoned. The previous business, Colt Car Wash, closed about 4 months ago, and since then the property has been deeded to the applicant through a lease to buy agreement. Our fifth consideration is relative gain to the public health, safety, and welfare as compared to the loss in value or hardship imposed upon the applicant. Denial of the zone change request would completely limit the applicant's ability to relocate his existing masonry business to the subject property, as it's not an allowed use in the current zoning district. The applicant has not yet purchased the property as it's in a lease to buy agreement. So denial of the zone change does not limit the property owner's ability to use the subject property for any use that is listed in the light commercial district. Our sixth condition is conformance of the requested change to the adopted or recognized comprehensive plan, and as we've discussed before, it does not conform to the comprehensive plan. Our seventh condition is impact of the proposed development on community facilities, which staff does not anticipate the proposed development to have a detrimental impact. City water and sewer are available, and police and fire protection services are already provided to the area with no additional burden anticipated. And our eighth consideration is opposition or support of neighborhood residents. As of the printing of this staff report, I did receive one comment in opposition, and that's at the end of the staff report. The property owner at 207 West Grand Avenue had emailed saying that they don't believe Haysville needs this type of zoning on the main street of the city, and there are definitely more appropriate locations for the activity this zoning would bring about. Now, if the planning commission decides to support the zone change and request approval, I do have some recommended conditions that would be implemented on the property through a protective overlay. Those conditions are permitted uses, construction, sales, and service to allow this masonry business to locate here, and then any use expressly permitted in the light commercial district. Any use that is conditionally permitted would have to go through the conditional use process. The second condition is that all new parking lots or additions to parking lots will have to conform to the screening within 100 feet of residential properties. The third, outdoor storage is prohibited in the front yard. Outdoor storage must be kept on a hard or all-weather surface and arranged to permit reasonable inspection and access to all parts of the premises by fire, police, and city officials, and must be screened from view of adjacent properties. The fourth is that the outdoor storage must be screened to 90 to 100% opacity and made from wood, vinyl, landscape earth berms, masonry, or other similar materials. Appropriate materials do not include mesh privacy screens, and the walls and fences may be used in combination with plantings to avoid a monotonous appearance. The fifth consideration is the landscaping requirements. At least 1,920 square feet of landscape street yard and 4 shade trees or their equivalent must be maintained on the property at all times. And the sixth and final condition would be that business operations must not be objectionable due to odor, dust, smoke, noise, vibration, or other similar causes. The agent for this case is here, Barry Davis, and so is the applicant if you guys have any questions, and I can stand for them as well.
Do any commissioners have questions of the staff? Are the applicants or their agents present? Please step forward, state your name, and tell us why we should grant this.
I'm Barry Davis, Davis Building Company, and I'm agent for Graham MacArthur R.D. Wood, who owns the property. This is Nicholas Gardo. He's the man that owns Nick's Mason. As you can look out the window and see, the thing needs a facelift. And that's what this man's good at. He's not trying to turn it into a place where they're creating a bunch of concrete and stone and laying brick out there. What he's wanting to do is to face it and put garage doors on it. He did want to put a fence around it, 8-foot wood, metal, whatever you ask for, it's your requirements. He's willing to do that around for the side, back, all the way, and close in all the way to the front side with a gate to the back for access in there. But like I said, the gate would be closed. It wouldn't be open with people working back there. He currently has a storage container, I shouldn't say trash container, whatever, but you know how they deliver these containers to job sites for people to fill up and they take them to the dump? He has a business like that. Like I said, it's portable and they're empty. They're not like somebody bringing trash back to the back of your deal. The fence would be to hide that. And he would be, all these front doors, back doors, we'd either have a garage door. He would submit drawings to the city to close off those. He's currently just completed a job. He's been doing work for us for both me and the Graham MacArthur. The person that owns that, he just completed a $2 million facility putting stone all around it, and everybody's amazed at how it made the appearance of this new facility look. He's one of the best stone people. He's got a good crew. They clean up stuff. They don't leave messes when they're done with jobs. But he would turn that into something people would be proud of seeing instead of what it looks like today. I'm 100% opposed to car washes. I don't like them, even though my guy that I work for, that I represent as his agent, he's had a bunch of car washes, and over time I've convinced him to get rid of them because you've got too much competition with all these automatic car washes coming to towns. I'm sure you'll have one here someday soon if they can get their stuff weeded in. One of the big guys that got the tunnels. So I'd like to see the building get utilized as a functional, beautiful piece sitting in your city on the main street that you wouldn't be ashamed of. If you wanted to get some addresses from him, he can do anything from big projects to, stone or brick mailboxes at your street. He does about everything stone and brick that there is to do. And he's not planning on doing it there. He would plan on using that as his office in the middle and utilizing those for storage inside the units, close them off. May even want to put, instead of putting all garage doors across the front, might want to stone some of that up with different kinds of stone for people to see, as an example, like when you go to a mason place to go look for buying brick or stone. But I'm 100% in support of him doing it, not because I own the building or I'm gonna make money on the sale of the building, but I think it's a good physical structure that don't need to be demolished, and I can't see it turning into much, to be functional without doing a bunch of renovation to it. So, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, my original plan is not to, okay. Yeah, my original plan, is like to do something quick, is like to put garage doors and then a fence. But more that I have in mind, it would be like to make the front not look like a car wash anymore. It's more like to make it look like a building. If I get to the point where I can add like a couple gables on the roof and do everything like one, we use a lot of thin brick on the walls that we can dress it up with thin brick on the front, and then maybe even put on one of the bays later on like a glass entrance to the office. And then the other thing, the containers that we use, they're not like the big companies containers that you see on the big trucks. Yeah, we don't have those. We have small ones that we move around with the trailer. It's like 13 yards and 18 yards. So they're like the small one is like 4 foot tall, and the bigger one is 6 foot tall. And we only have 14 of them. We're not a big company. We only have 14 of them, and I'm always looking for one available because I never have them available. They're always out, rented out. But if we grow, I'm planning to buy another 6, 7 at the most. It's not like, and then the tools that I use for masonry work, they're always at the job site, pretty much, one job to another one. So, so it's more like when I probably have more tools there, like planks and stuff, it'll be like on the winter time when it's
For storage.
yeah, for storage. That would be the only time that I would have more tools there. But I'm not. We're not like super big that I'm gonna have like this bunch scaffolding and like cranes and stuff. Nothing like that here. It's more like light tools, I want to say. Right.
Will you have work trucks parked there overnight?
Maybe on the inside, yes. Maybe a couple of them. Like I said, I own three trucks maybe, and then two dump trucks, and then the 2 trailers that I use to move the containers around. But some of the trucks, one trailer, one truck, my brother always have it at his house. He lives like 5 minutes from here. That's why we really like this place, because it's close to him. And then my daughter lives over here on my brother lives in Haysville, but my daughter lives here in MacArthur. 47 Meridian. She just built the house there, so it's close by her too. So that's why we like the place here, but they can keep an eye on it.
And anything that would be stayed out at night would be behind the fence.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be no vehicles parked in front of there at night.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any questions?
Now is the time for any member of the public to speak. If you have 5 minutes. If you're presenting good factual information, this time may be extended by vote. Please state your name and address. Do we have anyone to speak?
Well, I have one question.
Could you go up to the podium,
Are you able to
please?
step up here?
I can't stand very long.
Okay.
I got a big mouth.
You're
so
okay.
You can hear me. I've lived here 47 years.
Will you
I
state
live
your
over
name?
on Lamar, and
Could you state your name and address,
don't
please?
understand the light and heavy commercial. And he's talking about storage or car wash or whatever it is. Is it storage?
Storage of containers.
Storage of containers,
Yeah,
yes,
but
for
they're
storage, for
they're not
people to
like-
put their stuff in.
No, what they do is they take them out to job sites, and they fill them on job sites, and then they take them to the dump, and if you had any in there, they'd be empty containers.
Okay, well, I live over on Lamar, so how is this going to affect me?
Can you say your name and address?
Sonia Rowland, 116 South Lamar.
Thank you.
Yeah. How's that going to affect me at my house? Is this, because as far as I know, I was in the Matlock district, lot. And this says, the other, what was it, the name? The Fox edition. That, and I'm on here and I've got this, so how is that going to affect me? Is it just because of the noise and the construction, is that what you're talking about?
There is
So-
no construction going on there, but,
Well, you have to build stuff.
Don't you have a radius that you
Yeah,
cover when you
I'm
send
right
out
here.
notices, so many feet around a property?
Yeah, so when we have a zone change by state statute, letters get sent out for a certain distance from the boundaries of that property. So you're within that distance to get a letter sent to you, so that's why, so that you're notified of that if you wanna come and speak of anything. So it changes it from light commercial to heavy commercial. So staff is suggesting, which she read through, that it be denied, but if they want to approve it, that it be a protective overlay on it. So with that overlay, it would be changed to heavy commercial, but it would only be allowed for this type of business. And then, was there anything else allowed? Light commercial,
Yeah.
and then anything in light commercial that was conditional would still have to go through that process. So you can look through our zoning code that's on the webpage, and that shows you the differences that are businesses that are allowed in light commercial and heavy commercial.
Mhm.
So if they would be restricted on noise pollution, and it's stated there in the staff report. So I don't think this would affect you very much at all. They won't be doing construction there, so there shouldn't be any dust, odor, anything like that, and their property should be screened. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I wanted to know how this was gonna affect me. I didn't want it to affect my water or anything.
Won't affect your water, won't affect any of your utilities like
Yeah,
that.
no dust, no lot of dust.
The only
and-
construction he'd be doing is improvements to the existing facility,
Make
like
it more
reface
tight.
and making it clean.
Like I did my house.
Yeah, well, just, you know what I mean, don't make it look like
Redo
a,
it, give it a facelift.
it's a car wash, and that,
Right.
it looking like that, it'll always look like a car wash.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any questions of the public from the commission?
I have a question. Did the applicant consider any alternative locations that are within the heavy commercial zoning? And if so, why this one over one of those that are already zoned appropriately?
No, I don't think he did you? You haven't really been out looking around for a place, have you?
No, can you ask that again, please, again?
Well, sure. Why go through the trouble of getting this rezoned if you could find another location that is
Mhm.
already zoned correctly?
Yeah, it's hard to find something that that's not too big. I rented one building before over there with all the industrial Mosley and 13 area, that area over there.
Mostly.
And there was like we had cameras, I pay rent for the building, and when you get off of work, you leave your tools there, and they just 2 times they stole my tools. People just go in there and stole them. So I stopped renting it, and I really like it here because it's more traffic, more people. I don't know, more. I feel more safe. And like I said it before, because my brother lives. If I drive 5 minutes here on 51st Street in Seneca, and my daughter Meridian in 47, so they can always, make some trips or check on it if I don't. Because right now I live close to Andover in 127th and Pawnee, so it's quite far away from me. But like I said, my brother runs the business more with the tools and stuff. So that's the only reason I really liked, and I really like everything's like all the concrete around the car wash is in really, really good conditions. So I'm not worried about when it's snowing or we need rain if I need to load one of the containers, it'll make it sort of easy without making a mess. Because everywhere else it's dirt or it's messy.
Okay. So I guess my other question is, you're gonna be using this as an office building
Mhm.
and then storing containers. Is there anything else that would make it heavy commercial that's gonna be done on the property?
No, I can't think of anything else.
Because light commercial allows for the parking and to definitely be used as an office building. So I'm wondering what pushes this into heavy commercial for his intended use?
His intended use is construction, sales, and
Service.
service. So the definition of that typically sometimes has more outdoor storage. Sometimes they're doing construction on site. In his instance, he is not, and he's kind of outlined his business and everything and what he would be doing. That's where, if you want to go with the alternative of approving it, that's where we can put a protective overlay on it, and then only that business is allowed there, where as far as with our land use plan, it may not be what we have intended for Long Grand within that light commercial, but it limits the use, even though it's changed to heavy commercial, to only that business type. But the thing to consider is with a conditional or protective overlay and the zone change, it stays with the property, not just if he sells it, then someone else may do something else. That's the thing you have to remember in considering the golden rules and everything of what's allowed. But the protective overlay does limit it to the use that's allowed.
I guess what I'm wondering is, what would it take for him to be able to use this appropriately as light commercial?
That's what I think. But that was about the use for storage containers in the back or storage. It didn't make
Is
sense.
that what qualifies it as heavy commercial? Because it doesn't sound like this is gonna be heavy commercial
No,
use. It
it's
sounds
not.
like it's an
No.
office building, is light commercial use.
And it's not when you say sales or service, he's not, he might have a customer come over there to discuss, a job, look at a blueprint or something, and he might have some samples in his office. Here's some different kinds of stone.
That's all inside
But
the
he's
building.
not, there's not people walking in there buying mortar or.
No, I don't sell supplies.
You don't sell
I
supplies.
just do labor, and the labor I do it on the jobs, not.
And I still say that it should fall under commercial like it was, but when
So-
that was declined to use it as commercial, somebody stated we could go to heavy. That's why we submitted that, for
So I
that
guess
very
I'll
purpose.
direct that to the staff. What pushes this into heavy?
With our, we only allow construction, sales, and service in the heavy commercial and light industrial and heavy industrial, I believe. And with our definition of construction, sales, and service, masonry business does fall underneath that definition. And then with the addition of storing the refuse containers outside and storing masonry materials on site, that would push it into heavy commercial.
Okay, so it's mostly the storage.
Yes.
Yeah, the storage was the problem.
That's why we gave the alternative that if you want to get that route, because this is one that's kind of in between, but like I said, you gotta remember that if someone else takes over the property, it's nothing against them, that protective overlay goes along with that. So that's the thing you have to consider is the long-term use, so.
So it's there forever.
Yes, but the protective overlay limits what the use, that's the only use that is allowed there.
If you leave it as light commercial, can you not, like in the city, Wichita, I get the we build I build storages for them. And we have, when we're in a residential area, we have a community unit plan where we're given specific instructions what can go, and that's in the plat. It says CUP, and it's right on it. And it gives conditions, so if we sell that property, you know, they would have to comply just like we do. If I build an expansion onto a facility, it has to comply with everything in that CUP. And it's light commercial.
So that's like a planned unit development with
Right.
us.
I didn't know if you had
But
something
that's-
similar.
That's in the development process and when you're building the property. So that's a planned unit development where you kind of set your standards for that development of that area. This
Right.
is similar where
Right.
we're allowing the possibility of a zone change, but we're putting a protective overlay on it and it
Right.
states, it's the same concept.
Yeah, right, because ours does
But-
that too with trees and shrubberies.
Yeah, so that's in the beginning development. This is after a property has already been established, the protective overlay.
Now I get it. And you guys haven't explored any other heavy commercial areas in this area?
No, and I don't, like I said, the building become available, it fit a good niche for him. And like I said, it's just up to whether you guys wanna, do that, or, I mean, he's willing to have whatever restrictions on it. He's not hard to work with. I've been working with him for 12 years. He's pretty nimble and resilient.
And something else you could add to protective overlay, if that's the way you guys wanna do, you could put a 5-year limit on there where it expires, so, and if he wants to come back and renew it, he can. That's where if he's used the property the way it is, and we've had no complaints, no violations, then he could renew it. That is one thing, if you're leaning towards that direction, you can modify that protective overlay and wanna add that in there with your motion.
Have we done a traffic study or a noise study or anything like that?
Nah, not with something like this. This won't affect that much.
So
But there was a business there prior, so
Yeah.
couldn't this be handled with just a temporary use on the storage aspect? I mean, in section E1, there is the exception for a temporary use allowance for up to 1 year for storage. And then if there's any issues, then it could be, once the year is up, then the temporary use would go away, because it has to be applied for year over year.
what are you looking at?
Light commercial, in section E1 on use limitations.
Use limitations, so no outdoor storage is permitted except for display of goods.
Yep.
For sale as temporary use no more than 45 days.
Except for the, and then if you read on, except as otherwise allowed or approved in accordance with these regulations or approved by written permission from the zoning administrator for 1 year.
But that would only be for 1 year, so that's
Okay.
more, like True Value, if they have mulch and stuff out there as a seasonal item for sale, or garden sales for leakers, that's what that is more allowed for, where it's limited to 1 year. His items are gonna be stored outside for more than 1 year if he has a longer term business.
Right, which he would have to reapply.
I think I think I know where you're going with this, and I agree. I'd like to see it stay zoned as light commercial and just make a use exception for the storage.
Yeah. 'Cause I
Because
mean,
if that's the only caveat here, rather than rezone everything, and it seems overly complicated, if we can just make an exception for the storage somehow and still be within compliance.
Cause I would prefer not to do the protective overlay.
Even if that means, put up a fence.
Okay,
or
Cause
something.
section 4 then covers the storage requirement, in light commercial. Solid screened areas shall not be visible from any adjacent non-elevated street nor from ground level in view of any adjacent lot except as otherwise allowed in light commercial.
so if that's the direction the commission is, kinda looking at, I would probably suggest that we table this and let us look at this and try to figure out if we can do that. Because as far as the zoning chart and what the zoning code says, by definition of the work that the use they're going to, it's not allowed in the light commercial, but we can look and see what you've pointed out, if that's something we could, make work. But, if that's what you're leaning towards, I would suggest that we table this item so we can review it more.
We need a motion to do that.
Yeah, you would have to
I'll
have a
move
motion
we
to
table
table
that
it.
for further analysis.
Before we do that, I have a question for the applicant. I'm not clear on what you're going to use the entire building for. I understand you're gonna have an office in there. What's going on in the rest of it?
And the rest of it. Okay, as right now, I mean, planning for the future, as right now, I mean, I'm not a millionaire that I can just like, you know, do what I want. So as right now, I wanna use it for my personal business, right? For the, I don't know, 1, 2 years, right? But, I mean, later on, I mean, I wanna make it, when I get, cause obviously we have to get permits to do some work, and there's no restrooms in there, things like that. But later on, I mean, my like I have a daughter. She's 22. She's a cosmetic with the nails, cosmetologist, right? Later on in the future, I mean, if I can use half of that to put a like her nail salon or something like that, that's what I have in mind. But that's talking more like later on. Not sure, but for right now, that's what we present. That's what I can afford, like to make it look nice and put a fence. But
Okay, thank you.
So one more question. So going from light to heavy with your setbacks, so in that diagram on page 2 where the buildable area is, it basically puts the buildable area in between what bay 1 and 2 over there across, you know? So does that mean the fence isn't gonna be on the property line? The fence is gonna be in the middle of that building or a third in that building, if that's the buildable area?
The buildable area refers to the building itself. The fence can be outside of that.
So the fence can still be on the outside?
Yeah, the fence can be on the property line.
Okay.
Okay, does the applicant wish to review anything in the staff report or any public comments? No new items should be presented at this time. No more. I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Public comment is now closed for the commission action, and the floor is open to commissioners' comments regarding the following criteria.
I don't think we need to read that all.
We
do
don't
we?
need to read that.
So I'd like to move that we table this to study the ability to keep this zoned as light commercial, but make some exceptions for storage and possible fencing.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table this for further review. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Do you need this, do you need that vote? Do you need us to do that individually?
No,
Okay,
you guys are good.
okay. So we'll move on the agenda then? Okay. All right, is there any old business? Any correspondence? Off agenda, the next meeting date?
March 27th.
And so with tabling this will be tabled to March 27th. That's
Okay.
one thing we didn't state.
Would we need to come back then?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, item
move we
9.
adjourn.
I'll second.
Oh, we've got a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?